Okay, are we good?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the August 9th meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority. Could we have the roll call, please?
Yes.
Directors Cruz,
Here.
Carr,
Here.
Slowey,
Here.
Frost. Here. Gatewood.
Here.
Gira.
Here.
Hanson.
Yes, sir.
Howell. Hume.
Playing the alternate.
Kennedy.
Here.
Matoli. Peters.
Here.
Chenier.
Here.
Cerna.
Here.
Suen. And Chair Harris.
I am present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Director Peters, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Susan. Okay. We'll start with comments from the, yes, please read your announcements.
This meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and the AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will replay Sunday, August 12th at 2 p.m. and again on Monday, August 13th at 1 p.m. on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board may sign up with the speaker cards in the back of the room and bring them to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone addressing the board and state your name for the record.
Thank you very much. I see we have one speaker slip for comments not on the agenda. Mr. Tartagia, you're up.
Chairman, STA Board, Sacramento Transit Authority. I am concerned, and what I will invite you is much like the Regional Transit Board, is please read what your committees come up with. It seems like you did not understand what the neighborhood bus system was about. If RT is using it as a tool to find what, is better feasible locations that neighborhoods need, that is great. I do not know, after the research that has been done on Franklin and what is going on with the pilot project out in Antelope, that those results are going to come back. It will be interesting to see how grant evaluations and how you assess the success or failure. I think you learn a lot more through failure than you necessarily appreciate what success means. I bring this to you because it's been many years, and I think likewise that later on there will be further comments that I will make. But board, just like this is recorded, realize that, what you guys do sets the tone for the next decade. And I'm not certain, in light of what I am seeing and observing, that you have assessed, looking back 5 years, backwards right now, that what are the best decisions that you are making at this time.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I don't see any other speaker slips. Is anybody here with a comment not on the agenda? Don't see any, so we'll move to our director's report.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to welcome back Citrus Heights Councilman Jeff Slowey. Mr. Slowey first served as an alternate on the STA board in 2004, and then as a regular member from 2005 through 2012. Mr. Slowey was recently reappointed to the STA board as the alternate for Albert Fox. So welcome, Mr. Slowey. Also, we have Mr. Mark Cruz from the city of Galt, who is the alternate for Kurt Campion. Regarding Measure A, in the past, we issued 1-year MOUs to each of the 12 Measure A agencies to provide funding for ongoing programs. Each August, we would bring these MOUs back to you as a regular discussion item for your approval. But since the MOUs don't change year to year, what I've done is I'm asking you, as part of item 4, to make these into 5-year agreements. and then to also put them on the consent calendar going forward. And what this will do is it will save us a tremendous amount of time every year, and especially with the legal reviews that have to happen with 13 agencies every single year. And so this will free up the board for more important non-ministerial type items, such as listening to the community, which is our item 11 today. Regarding the public education and community outreach, our efforts, we released the RFP back in June, and we received 5 proposals. Those proposals are in the committee right now for review. The committee will form a recommendation and return that at the September 13th board meeting. Regarding the neighborhood shuttle program, there is a lot going on with that program right now. And so Laura Ham with Regional Transit will be here next month to provide a full report. And we also have Tiffany Fink with Paratransit to provide a comprehensive update on what's been happening with the Youth to Jobs program. Regarding abandoned vehicle abatement, you recall that last month the board had some discussion about the additional funding need in Sacramento County. And since that time, we've actually met with City of Sacramento staff to talk about their unfunded needs as well. And so our next step is to reach out to the 25 other abandoned vehicle abatement authorities in the state of California to figure out what the scope of this problem is. And we're going to see if there's support, widespread support for doing something to gain additional funding. And so we're actually the 3rd largest program that's funded by vehicle registration fees in the state of California. So we're taking the lead on this. And so I'll return to the board with regular updates on our efforts. Regarding Sacramento Freeway Service Patrol, it's not actually well known, but SB 1, Senate Bill 1, actually provides $25 million a year statewide to FSP programs to either expand service or to reinstitute service. So in the Sacramento region, we have a fleet of 15 trucks currently. We actually used to be 17 trucks, but in 2015 we had to cut back because of limited funding. And we had really hoped to tap into the SB1 funds to restore those 2 beats on I-5, and then also to possibly extend FSP service onto other local area freeways. But since Proposition 6 to repeal SB1 is on the November ballot, we've entered a holding pattern because we don't want to enter into any multi-year contracts that we might not be able to fulfill. So we're going to hold off until November to see what happens there. But like I said, if SB1 is repealed, none of this funding for FSP will exist anymore. Finally, looking ahead, it looks like we will not have a quorum for the October board meeting, and so I've consulted with the chair, and so that meeting is canceled, and I'll send out notices to you and to your staffs. The next STA board meeting is September 13th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norm. Madam Clerk, next item.
Your next item are your consent items. Your matters 3 through 7 are in order.
Very good. Do I have any comments?
I'll move consent.
Second.
Moved by Howell, second by Carr. No further discussion?
Chair, I just want to note that I'm going to abstain on item number 3.
Okay, let the record reflect that Director Slowey abstains on number 3. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? None seen. Consent carries. Next item.
Your next item is your item number 8 is committee memberships. The STA Public Outreach, Education and Outreach Committee, Independent Taxpayer Oversight Committee.
Thank you very much. So we discussed this at our last meeting, and I appointed a committee to look over the proposals that have been solicited and sent in at this point. I would like to go ahead and further appoint Director Howell to our committee to review the proposals, if you are willing, Ms. Howell. I think you'd be a great representative. And any objections to that? No. None seen. Very good. Now on the ITALC, this is kind of interesting. Some of you may know that Maureen Pascoe, who had been on the ITALC for some time and very knowledgeable about transportation issues, will probably not be coming back to the ITALC. So it was up to me to appoint a new member, and I found someone who I am fond of and I think will be very capable. Her name is Terry Kletzman. She's here in the audience today. Terry is very skilled. She's an accountant. She works at the Earthquake Authority, And she's demonstrated a great interest in sitting on the ITALC and doing that work. So Terry, would you come up to the podium and say a few words about yourself?
I just want to thank you, Chairperson Harris, for introducing me to this committee. I've gone to 2 meetings, and I'm really excited by the dialogue that they're having. I think they have a great collaboration and really think things through, and I'm excited about participating, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you, Terry. Welcome, and keep an eye on us.
I'll be observing for a little while.
All right. Thanks so much. So, okay, that one is taken care of. We'll go to the next item, number 9.
Is your Senate B SB1 Local Partnership Program Formula Shares Distribution, and this is Cycle 2.
At your June 14th meeting, your board directed that the $3.3 million that's coming into Sacramento County through the SB1 Local Partnership Program Formula Shares Cycle 2 be distributed, 30% going to Sacramento Regional Transit, and then the remainder to be divided among the cities and the county based on a formula of 75% population and 25% road lane miles. The local agency staffs have taken their allocation amounts and they've prepared their nominations. Regional Transit will use their $991,000 to purchase buses to expand service into underserved areas. The county and the cities will all use their allocations for roadway rehab, with the exception of the city of Citrus Heights, which will do street ADA projects, and the city of Folsom, which will apply their funds towards the widening of East Bidwell Street. The nominations are in order, and I recommend approval. The only note that I'll make again is regarding SB1 is that these funds are for Cycle 2, which is the next fiscal year, which is fiscal years 19 and 20. If SB1 is repealed, none of this money will exist. Thank you.
Understood. Any comments or questions from directors? I'll entertain a motion. So moved by Director Guerra.
Second.
Second from Director Howell. Very good. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That carries. Next item, please.
Your next item is Senate Bill SB1 and Proposition 6.
For the last 8 or 9 months or so, we've talked variously about SB1 and what it means to our transportation system. Statewide, SB1 generates $5.4 billion. Locally, for us here in Sacramento County, SB1 invests about $47 to $62 million a year into our local roads. $8 million goes directly to regional transit for transit service. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are slated to go towards our FSP program. And a couple $100 million goes into our state highways, especially US 50 and I-5. But as we just talked about, this funding is in jeopardy. So today I've invited Ronnie Verdugo of the No on Prop 6 Coalition to speak to us about efforts to preserve SB1 funding. Ronnie?
Welcome, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Ronnie Verdugo here on behalf of the League of California Cities. First of all, I just want to thank the Sacramento Transportation Authority for inviting me to make a presentation largely focused on Proposition 6 and what impact it will have on transportation and specifically on transportation within the Sacramento region. Before we get into more specifics, I do think it's important to provide some historical context as to how we arrived to where we're at today. And so one of the questions is, well, what was the problem that SB1 was trying to solve in the first place? And as you all know, prior to SB1, it really was the erosion of the purchasing power of the dollar that resulted in the simple math problem for cities, counties, and the state that of inadequate funding for critical city, county, and state transportation projects. The funding just literally was drying up. And so, because it was never adjusted for inflation, essentially. And so, fortunately, city, county, state engineers and the private business that that a lot of the private businesses that they work with to build our transportation infrastructure have been able to head off most major disasters in spite of the dwindling resources and the deteriorating conditions of our roads. But we knew going in for the last 10 years that was simply unsustainable. So just to kind of paint a picture of what the problem was prior to the passage of SB1, the state was looking at a backlog of about $60 billion of unmet funding needs for the state highway system, another $70 billion in unmet funding needs for the local streets and road system throughout the state, about another $70 billion for public transportation across this state as well over the next 10 years. So understanding that this unfunded backlog was simply unsustainable, the League, CSAC, quite a few other different organizations that prior to SB1 was called the Fix Our Roads Coalition, a partnership between local governments, labor, business, et cetera, partnered to essentially push forward a package with the legislature essentially to come up with a comprehensive transportation funding proposal, which ultimately was lumped into SB1. And understanding this, it became the law that we know today, and that was signed into law by the governor on April 28th of last year. And so what does SB1 help to solve some of these problems and address some of these needs? As we all know, SB1 generates approximately $52 to $54 billion over the next 10 years. There's no sunset on that, so that money will continue to grow in perpetuity as long as it's not repealed. And along with SB1, a constitutional measure was also placed on the ballot. It was ACA 5, or what we now know as Proposition 69, and it was passed overwhelmingly by the voters just this June to essentially dedicate the new revenue sources that weren't already constitutionally protected in SB1 to ensure that those monies cannot be diverted by the legislature for some other purpose. And so last year, essentially, we got two things. We got a comprehensive transportation funding proposal in SB1, and in addition to that, we also got Prop 69 that was overwhelmingly supported by the voters that additionally protected those funds for transportation, which we think is a key piece of the accountability for the measure. One of the other things that I wanted to mention too is that SB1 is one of the largest, if not the largest, transportation infrastructure investment that we've seen in California, definitely the largest that we've seen in a generation. A key component of SB1 is that all of these projects are going to be happening locally. Even if you think about a project on the state highway system, that's coming to a freeway near you, right? So it could be Highway 50 or the I-5 or any of the other local freeways in this area that are going to be benefiting from that. However, in addition to those investments on the state highway system that are also in our backyard, every city and county also doubled their transportation budgets as a result of SB1. And it's unusual, at least in my time as an advocate for the League of Cities, that the legislature will provide us with cities and counties throughout the state with that level of funding for any purpose, let alone transportation. So that definitely was a major victory in SB1. One of the great things about the funding in SB1, at least for cities and counties, is that money comes directly from the state controller's office to the city and county. There's no middleman, so to speak, and local residents within each jurisdiction essentially have a say in what transportation improvements they like to see within their communities, as long as it's consistent with the law, the letter of the law in SB1. And we all understand that SB1 isn't going to meet 100% of our state's transportation needs, but we do know that SB1 is going to lead to significant improvements to the safety and conditions of not just our local streets and roads, but the state highway system and public transportation throughout the state. And it's also going to have benefits to goods movement and economic vitality in the state with some of the other programs that are also funded through SB1. Specifically in the 6-county Sacramento region, when we're talking about direct apportionments, not inclusive of the different programs, competitive programs within SB1, just direct apportionments to cities and counties. So Sacramento, Yolo, Placer, El Dorado, Yuba, Sutter, and all of the cities within those counties we're talking about an infusion of $1.1 billion over the next 10 years in direct apportionments. Those are going straight to city and county coffers. And when we talk about, at least the League of Cities, when we talk about SB1, we really make sure that we focus on project delivery. At the end of the day, regardless of how much funding is given to any one particular purpose, what people really want to see is the different types of projects that are being delivered by your local jurisdiction. And so if you look at this fact sheet, there are some, this regional fact sheet for the Sacramento Capital Region, inclusive of some of those counties that I've just mentioned. You're looking at 152 projects filling potholes and repaving crumbling roads, 30 traffic congestion relief projects, 100 projects improving the safety of local roads, 24 projects improving the safety of bridges, 52 safety improvements for pedestrians and bicyclists. And then there are some examples within each of these categories that we can point to. And again, this is not an exhaustive list. So if you don't see one of your projects that you know is being funded, don't get mad at me. We just try to pick essentially what we thought were kind of good examples of some of the projects that are being carried out. And so it's not an exhaustive list since there are 6,500 projects being carried out statewide, but there are some good examples up here. So for on I-5, for example, 67 miles of pavement improvements along I-5, 17 miles of new carpool lanes on the 5, as well as 14 miles on Highway 50 of carpool lanes. New sidewalk, curb ramp, bike lane, street lighting, center medians, and traffic signal improvements throughout Sacramento, visibility improvements and restriping in all counties within the region. Again, improving public safety of our local streets and roads networks. And so, anyway, this is, I think, a really good example, and there's actually a second page to this with more examples as well. And then we also have a kind of a broader regional fact sheet that's looking at counties from Calaveras County, Colusa County, and inclusive of Sacramento County. And when we look at the broader region, we're looking at about $2.3 billion. And so I don't know if that's available on here, but it's a second regional document that I've passed out as a handout. And this is really tailored for the use of local agencies. So if they want to be able to use this to help educate and communicate this to the public, this is one of the tools that can be used to educate folks on what you're doing with the funding and how it's being put to use within the Sacramento region.
Mr. Chair? Yes, go ahead, Director Natoli.
Just very quick, Robert, just on your fact sheet, I just wanted to point out that I assume this is subject to reprinting, that on the front page is the one you have up there right now, down about 3/4 away where you say rehabilitate roadways in Rancho Cordova. Do you see that? On your bullet points?
Okay.
You see that?
On which document? The first one?
On the one that's up right now. The one that's up right now. You were talking about Calaveras.
Oh, the $2.3 billion? Okay, yeah.
And certainly Mr. Gatewood could weigh in, but it says to include sections of Sunrise Boulevard in the Cordova Meadows neighborhood. I believe it should be an and. I don't think Sunrise Boulevard runs through the Cordova Meadows neighborhood. So I just pointed out, because if you're going to give this to local folks and they're going to say, well, when Sunrise Boulevard coming through my neighborhood, I don't think that's it's going to be. So they might be a little shocked to know that.
Yeah.
It'd be a good story.
Well, I appreciate the feedback,
Okay.
and yeah, we'll definitely take it back.
Yeah, it should be an and.
11.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Director Natoli.
Yes.
Garrett, did you have some, you're punched up.
Afterwards.
Okay,
After he's done.
very good.
So, I mean, this is just the Sacramento region. These types of investments and projects, and really, what SB1 is a transportation. It's how we fund transportation in the state. It's a user-based system, and the more you use the roads, the more you pay for that because you're using that benefit. And one of the again, the great things about SB1 is that we're seeing that money coming back straight into communities. There's no middle person, and so that's one of the great aspects that I know that the League of Cities and CSAC definitely advocated for, to ensure that local transportation networks were getting their fair share of the funding. I know initial discussions, maybe it was just to say highway system that would receive the funding, but we thought it was entirely critical that cities and counties got their share. So. These types of projects are really going on across the state, and so to say the least, in full disclosure, the League of California Cities as an organization is is opposed to Proposition 6. The League of California Cities is not alone in that opposition. There are over 280 other organizations that are also opposed, inclusive of the California Highway Patrolmen, firefighters, Society of Engineers, labor organizations, business organizations, environmental organizations, quite a robust, broad coalition of folks that are really opposed because, like I mentioned in the first part of my presentation, this is infrastructure investment that we've never seen before, at least not in a generation. And so, again, in full disclosure, the League is opposed to the measure. And so, we're acting at that capacity on the measure. So before I get into Proposition 6, I do want to share a handout from the Institute for Local Government. And I also want to share a disclaimer that I personally am not an attorney, I'm an advocate. But we do have from the Institute of Local Government basically a do's and don'ts, FAQs in terms of ballot measure activity for local agencies and local officials. And it answers kind of basic questions in terms of what you can and can't do as a local agency as it relates to or as it pertains to your involvement either on a personal level or as an agency on any, not just this measure, but any ballot measure for that matter. And so I would definitely suggest that you lean on that and also any legal counsel that the agency is represented by. So with that, I will say that in a nutshell, it's my understanding that local agencies have and always have officially taken positions on ballot measures, from supporting to opposing measures, and that's within their legal right. I will say that if an individual official wanted to engage on a specific ballot measure, that they're supposed to essentially do so on their personal time, using their personal resources, not on public time, and using public resources. And of course, that's a very simplified explanation of that. So I definitely would defer you to either the handout or to your own legal counsel if you have specific questions about that. Here's what happened so far in terms of Proposition 6 and the League's involvement on that particular ballot measure. As soon as SB 1 was passed, $54 billion over the next 10 years, two initiatives actually were filed, one by Assemblymember Travis Allen and then another one that was essentially primarily funded by the California Republican Party in the state. The initial measure ultimately ended up not moving forward, but the second measure did move forward and ultimately gathered enough signatures to qualify for the ballot in November and will be up for an election on November 6th. And the second repeal measure took the first repeal measure and took it a step further and essentially requires statewide approval from the electorate for any future transportation funding, essentially. And so for the League of California Cities, obviously, that's extremely problematic. There were a lot of negotiations that took place in ensuring that every city and county throughout the state would get its share of funding. And that was negotiated to the very last second until the measure was officially passed by the legislature. And so, one of the concerns that we have is if SB 1 goes away, we don't know what the answer will be for cities and counties if they will see any share in any future transportation measure, or if that's just going to be dedicated for some other transportation mode. And we're really concerned that all of the efforts that we put into making sure that each individual city and county got their share, even if a future funding measure came forward and the voters approved it, that cities and counties won't see the level of funding that they see in SB 1. And so that's a very particular concern for us and very dire. One of the four things that I will say in terms of why the League of California Cities is opposed is because Prop 6 will, and I mentioned this a couple of times, eliminate $54 billion for thousands of city, county, and state transportation projects in every community, 6,500 projects of which are currently underway. It'll eliminate projects aimed at improving bridge and road safety. It'll hurt the economy, the movement of goods, and eliminate thousands of jobs based on all the different economic studies that we've seen. I think it's about 68,000 jobs that's estimated to be generated as a result of SB1 that we fear will also be eliminated. And then we also think it'll set transportation back, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, with no foreseeable solution in the future, especially for cities and counties, and those funds that are going to each individual community are really concerned that all of that will go away if Proposition 6 is passed. And so, again, with that, I want to, highlight a few things in terms of the Sacramento region. The cities and counties within the region, within Sacramento, for example, you're looking at $620 million over the next 10 years, $120 million for Yolo County and all the cities within it. Same for Placer County and the cities within it, $200 million, $95 million for El Dorado, $41 million for Yuba, $68 million for Sutter. So again, back to the first fact sheet that was up on the screen, we're looking at $1 billion in direct apportionments. And so, the question, well, what happens if Proposition 6 is passed? We say that all of those improvements will go away. And as far as the League of California Cities is concerned, that's something that we simply can't afford. So I appreciate your time, and I'll open it up for questions if we have time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verdugo. Before we start our comments, we do have one public comment. Jeffrey, you're back. We'll probably have you back up, Mr. Verdugo, if need be.
You too. Jeff Tartagia. I guess I will do like I apparently did at SACOG, is saying to you that the Republican Party has made this the #1 priority of repealing with Measure 6. And the problem is, once again for the voters, is understanding what they will lose. And guys, just like when you make Measure A and a System Act or everything else of wanting it, be clear, be transparent, because guys, the way you go about it will speak much to the voters. I'm hoping that you can find a method right now, between now and getting the word out in Sacramento, that Measure 6 will impact Sacramento. It will impact the state, and you have yet to figure out how in the world to replace tax dollars, gas dollars for infrastructure, which is what he said. But simple terms is, simply make a simple message, deliver it so that people understand it. They've already done where this is Newman's the failure, and that's what the Republican Party is using. And that's something that, again, it is bad tactics to make, but bad policy and bad decisions are easy for people to misconstrue.
Thank you, Jeffrey, for your repeated advice and admonitions. Okay, Board, we'll start with comments from Director Guerra.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to personally thank Mr. Verdugo here. I've seen him all throughout the state, vigorously educating the public in multiple forums about the benefits of SB1 and how much improvements our state really needs, and also the critical impacts to our economy because of just the bad roads affect our goods movement, let alone our own vehicles. But a number of us have participated on some of the education media events that he's put together, and the logistic of hurting a lot of people. Much appreciated that. But I think the kind of energy that we need to make sure that the public knows how important SB1 is and all the benefits for that. We've got the right person here, Mr. Verdugo. So I just want to say publicly thank you for all your hard work on that.
Thank you, Director Guerra. Director Peters.
Yes, thank you. We're here. In the first document you showed us, there's some bullet points here, which I've have some comments about. Is there an opportunity to change this document?
We'd be happy to take any feedback on that. In fact, we would welcome that. So,
should we just work through Mr. Hom and? Yeah. But one question. When you're talking about the number of miles of pavement improvements, is that lane miles?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, because it either needs to say that, or, I mean, because someone reading it is going to know that there's not 56 miles on US 50 between I-5 and Watt Avenue, for instance. Some days it feels like that, but, you know.
It depends what speed you're going.
We typically measure our network in center lane miles.
Yeah,
Across systems.
I don't think that's a good idea. To me, that if I read that, I'd say, what is he talking about? You know, but I'll make my suggestions to Mr. Hom then.
Is that all?
Yes,
You good?
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director Peters. Any other comments from the board? I don't see any.
May I offer one? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
One other suggestion, and I forgot to mention this, I apologize, but this little flyer right here, the League of California Cities put together essentially a toolkit that has sample press releases, op-eds, tweets, Facebook messages, Instagram postings that can help you communicate with your residents in terms of what projects you're carrying out with your SB1 dollars, and we think it's a good transparency and accountability measure for cities and counties to use the tools in here, and literally you just have to plug and play your city and county information and whatever dollar amounts have been awarded or what projects you're working on, and this will help you educate the public on the great work that you're carrying out. So thank you.
Thank you. I do have a comment or two. You mentioned that if a Prop 6 passes, that virtually any other transportation measure would go to the full electorate.
Yes.
And that's a dire concern to the League.
Yes.
I think that that's a very important point that we all have to pay attention to, because if every time we need to get something done, it goes to the full electorate, nothing's going to get done. That's why we have representative democracy. That's one piece. Another, more personally, you know, my registration for my car went up, and I drive an electric car, so it went up even more. And I'm happy to pay it. Gas prices have been low for a long time, and I think we missed the bottom. But to get the legislature to move and put forth the gas tax was a very hard measure to attain. It was hard fought and hard won, and SB1, of course, is doing an awful lot of good, I would say, for all of our constituents. And I think it would behoove us all to expend some energy and educate as many people as we can about Proposition 6, because if it should pass, it will have real dire repercussions for all of our jurisdictions. In the city of Sacramento, we have about $179 million backlog of road repairs that we need to effect, and no way to get there. You know, if SB1 is repealed, we recently got, I think, around $15 million, and we've done a lot of Cape seals in the city, but that's just barely touching it, and our pavement condition index is dropping. So this is really a vital proposition to pay attention to, and see what we can do to maintain funding for our projects. It means a lot to STA. It means a lot to all of our jurisdictions. Mr. Verdugo, thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Gatewood, didn't see you punch up.
No worries. Hey, really quick, what are you doing on the side of videos and social and stuff like that? Because a lot of my constituents aren't going to read this and very rarely read anything like that. Mm-hmm. Have you guys thought of actually doing some side of, social media marketing, video, YouTube blasts, something I can tie us to help out with communication?
Yeah, we actually have sample social media posts across all of the different platforms, including Nextdoor, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. We don't necessarily have a sample like that for like a YouTube video necessarily, but we do have samples of cities. For example, City of Bakersfield has an SB1 landing page, and they've done essentially kind of a aerial drone footage of all of the different transportation projects that are being funded by SB1 within the region, and they've uploaded that to YouTube, and that's available. And so I apologize, I didn't provide the link for your staff to put that up on the screen, but it's a really great video. I know City of Thousand Oaks has done something similar. It's not something that's necessarily widespread, but there are examples out there that do that, and they do a pretty good job of that to demonstrate what cities and counties are doing with their funding.
Yeah, the only thing is we have right now is that we're not ranking for good stuff when it comes to SPS 1. So, I'm sorry, I'm going to go into a marketing background a little bit. What we need to do is get, as you're ranking, ranking for you type in SB 1, you get a lot of stuff on how it's trying to be repealed and stuff like that. You don't get a lot of stuff right now on look at this city and what they're doing, look at this city, what we've done to help that. And so that all goes into how we're ranking the SEO, the videos, and the pages that we want to show and not the ones we don't. So just, I don't know, that's on your marketing team getting them together, but those are the kind of stuff that we're going to run into really quickly as I'm trying to pump this up, and all the media that they do on a simple Google search is all bad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I mean, on our side, at least as far as the League of California Cities is concerned, we understand that there are a lot of folks that we need to communicate with, and so it's definitely on our radar.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Chenier.
Yeah, real quick. So, Norm, we all sit on a lot of boards, and sometimes it blends together. And I know at SACOG we've taken a position. We haven't taken a position on this at this.
We have not.
And to do that, if we wanted to today, I know this is a receive and file item. Can you?
You're not agendized for it today.
So can I make a request? So we have a meeting in September?
Yes,
correct? We do. So if I could make a request that we agendize this to take a position on our meeting in September, that would be great.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great suggestion. Thank you, Director Chenier. I don't see anybody else punched up. Again, thank you, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you.
Important topic. So I just want to make a comment. It's 2:13 and City Council convenes at 3 o'clock. We have 3 presentations, not meaning to rush anybody, but we want to hear everyone come up. So if you have comments, please keep them short so we can get out of here by 3 or a little before if possible. All right, next item, number 11.
Your next item is community perspectives on local transportation needs and funding.
Today, we are introducing something completely new to your board. At the June meeting, your board expressed a desire to have a broader discussion about transportation funding, particularly how we invest in transit, roads, and other transportation needs. And in addition, the board will be making some really important decisions over the next few months and into next year regarding a potential future measure. And so to gather input, the board members have been participating in a listening tour to gather community input from citizens. To complement the listening tour, I've started inviting community groups to come to the STA board meetings over the next several months to provide their perspectives on transportation and transportation funding. So all the organizations that I've sent invitations to are on the back side of the staff report. I believe there's 60 or 70 different organizations. And I'm sure I've missed some, but if there's any group that you would like to hear from that I haven't included, go ahead and send me an email and I'll take care of that. So to kick us off today, we have 3 presenters. First up is Evan Schmidt of Valley Vision. Valley Vision published the January 2018 research report, this one. It was also within your board packet. It's called Regional Attitudes About Transportation. I've asked Ms. Schmidt to outline the key findings of her report and also to share any input Valley Vision has regarding transportation priorities for Sacramento County.
Welcome, Ms. Schmidt.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me today. I am the Director of Strategy and Evaluation at Valley Vision. I think most of you are familiar with Valley Vision, but for anyone who's not, we're a nonprofit based in Sacramento. We're focused on the region and solving pressing regional problems through research and collaborative action. Thank you. So under your guidance, I'm going to try to kind of zoom through and maybe focus on just a few things. So if I'm moving too fast, please slow me down, but I'll just try to give an overview to get us out of here on time and to make sure everyone can talk. So what I'm here to talk to you about is a recent polling series, or a polling series that we're currently doing, and a recent poll that we did, which was on transportation. Our purpose in this was to generate a better understanding about transportation perception, behavior, and priorities. And my purpose today really is just to share some of that data with you as you're making decisions about transportation investments and keeping in mind perspectives from the community. We partnered with Sacramento State Institute for Social Research. They're really the ones carrying out putting the surveys in the field, and they're using best practices type methodology to do that. For this transportation poll, we had 939 total respondents. That was region-wide, but I'm going to be really focusing on the data from Sacramento County, so that was 573 people. It was in the field in September, and the margin of error is about plus or minus 5%. You can see how our sample was distributed geographically, and that Sacramento County is really the majority of our respondents, and so I'm happy as I'm standing here in front of you to say that we have a really great margin of error for Sacramento County. So we looked at behavior, perceptions, and priorities around investments. And we aligned with other regional planning efforts that are going on, like SACOG that's working on their MTP and other stakeholders. And just to dive into the data, I have this kind of in two different parts. One is just talking about what people are reporting about their attitudes and their behaviors around transportation, and then what their priorities are around transportation. So I'll move kind of quickly through the attitudes and behaviors, and then spend a little more time on their priorities around investments. So I'll start with a big consensus item. 92% of Sacramento County residents think that transportation is very important to job and business growth. But they also think that transportation is getting worse in the region. So the bar on top, you have 2017, and we're comparing that to a study that SACOG did in 2014, asking some of the same questions that allowed us to benchmark that. So the blue bar is people who think that it's getting worse, and so you can see that that's grown over the last 3 years. Congestion, this is a main theme that really came out in our survey. People are very concerned about congestion, and they're impacted by congestion. So we looked at a few different factors, and again, you can see overall that people believe that congestion is getting worse in the region. I also looked at when there was instances where the people in Sacramento County answered the survey differently than people outside of Sacramento County. I wanted to highlight that for you. So this is one of them. Sacramento County residents were really concerned about congestion, but in some instances not to the same degree as people outside the region, which might be that people in Sacramento County live closer to job centers and are doing less long-distance commuting than others. The other main factor that people are really concerned about is road conditions. So you can see here the condition of freeway pavement and local road pavement. People to a large degree find that that's getting worse. Safe driving conditions on the road, not as much the case. People are more apt to say that that's the same. And a lot of this really ties to people's transportation behavior. I don't think it's a big surprise to say most people drive alone in the region for most of their transportation trips. And so you can see that in this chart. And then I think it's important also to point out, though, that if you just look at the dark blue, who drives alone always or most of the time, you can say, yeah, that's what people do. But people do use other modes of transportation as well. So when you look at this sometimes category that's orange, you can say, yeah, people are multimodal, and it's really about increasing, in order to relieve congestion, it could be about increasing the amount of trips that people are taking using different modes of transportation. We also looked at first and last mile infrastructure. So this was a little more optimistic in that people, for safe walking routes and being in walkable proximity to places they want to go, it was largely the same. Safe bicycle routes was a little bit different. In Sacramento County in particular, people were more critical of safe bicycle routes and felt worse about them in general. There's also a large amount of people that didn't answer that question because they don't bike in Sacramento County. Getting people on public transit is a challenge. So we asked people what are the reasons that they're not using public transportation. The top one was, I don't know what the services are. And then there's a whole host of others, don't feel safe, too far from home or destination. One thing I would add, when you have such a large percentage of people who most of the time drive alone, a lot of these might be perceptions, or it might be based on using public transportation just a couple times. And Sacramento residents were more familiar with public transit, but they felt less safe, less comfortable, and they had more concerns about the expense of public transit. And again, that could be that Sacramento County residents probably have a little bit more experience on public transit than people outside because of light rail and buses and other amenities in the county. So, investment priorities. So this is what I wanted to share with you and spend the most time with. So we asked people, what's the most important reason that policymakers should consider when spending on transportation improvements? So why should we invest in transportation? And their number one response was reducing traffic congestion. Again, this was really consistent with their beliefs throughout the survey that traffic congestion is really their main issue with transportation. Other things that they said was enhancing safety, improving the quality of life. If you go down a couple, provide more affordable travel options. And then the one underneath that is provide more freedom for people with mobility issues. And at the bottom, you can see create jobs at 23%. It wasn't a huge percentage of the overall sample, but in Sacramento County, residents were much more likely to cite job creation as a reason for investing in transportation by 15% or something like that. We asked people, what's the transportation type that is most in need of improvement? And the top two were local roads and freeways. So again, we're kind of coming back to people drive alone a lot, and the thing they see the most is the local roads. And then we asked them to rank the transportation type and then to kind of dive in deeper and talk about what kind of investments would you like to see in each of these transportation types. For local roads, we asked them, do they want new roads? Do they want more lanes on existing roads? Or do they want repair for existing roads? And repair for existing roads was the top concern for people, and it was the same with freeways and connectors with about the same options, but in relation to our regional freeways. For buses and light rail, there was a lot to that, and I'm going to talk about it more in just a second. For bicycle and pedestrian paths, they were most interested in seeing improvements to safety features, and this includes traffic lights and signage. We also asked them to respond to more bike lanes, to more connectivity, both on a local level and across the region, but improved safety measures was their biggest interest. And for Amtrak train service, they were interested in expanding the service area. So diving into public transit improvements that people would like to see and that would encourage them to use them more. The top one was service that is nearby and takes me where I need to go, which is what everybody wants in public transportation. Followed closely by public transportation that takes less time. One thing that's interesting, and a few slides back, people said, I don't use public transportation because I'm not familiar with it, but when you look here, it's as if I knew more about it. Only 6% of people said that would compel them to use public transportation more. So to me, this kind of speaks to perceptions overall of public transportation, that's maybe a little bit of a kind of a cop-out answer to say, well, I don't know about it, so that's why I don't use it, when in fact, it could have to do more with just your perception of public transit overall. One thing at Valley Vision, we were interested in looking at how age plays a factor. That's one thing that we pulled out, especially when it comes to transportation, wondering if younger people have a different perception of and different behavior around transportation compared with older people. So that's one measure that we looked at. I wanted to draw your attention especially to this on the bottom. There are no improvements that would cause me to use public transportation. So these are really the people that just aren't interested, aren't going to use public transportation. And that number is really a lot lower for this younger group of 18 to 34. And again, and also public transportation that takes less time, that's a bigger concern for people 18 to 34. So the reason I wanted to highlight that is because I think that as we're planning for transportation infrastructure in terms of how we communicate that and how we outreach, reaching out to the younger generation might be a good way to get a positive response about transportation investments. So finally, we asked, would you be willing to pay more taxes if you knew that local funding levels for transportation in your area were lower than in similar sized cities? So just to talk about the answer set, they could say yes, no, or have no opinion. There was a pretty large percentage that had no opinion, and we were advised by Sac State that might kind of dilute the effectiveness of this question. Maybe there was a few too many variables in there that skewed the result, but at any rate, there was a significant finding for Sacramento County in that there was a much larger spread towards yes in Sacramento County. So if you look outside of Sacramento County, it's really a dead heat between yes and no, but within Sacramento County, that's a much larger spread, and it's more positive and more aimed towards yes. So just to sum up with some key findings from our survey, congestion and road conditions are a major concern. People mostly drive alone, but they do use a variety of transportation modes, and further improvements are needed to get people on public transportation. Our data suggests that younger people have a different point of view on transportation, and people really think that relieving congestion is a good reason to invest, and they might be willing to pay more taxes to be able to do that. And then looking into the future for what Valley Vision is doing in this realm. So we're working with Metro Chamber, the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, and SACOG, developing the Regional Prosperity Plan and working on an implementation around that. I think a major goal there is to really align transportation investments with economic development goals. So we're moving that forward, and then we're also fielding a third public opinion poll. This one's, it's already been out in the field, so we're working on the data analysis and getting the report out in September, I believe. And that's going to be on livability and quality of life. So we're polling on, it's really broad-based on housing, on access to jobs and education, food security, all kinds of things that impact people's quality of life. And here's my contact information. I hope this has been helpful. It's really our goal for this polling series to be able to share data with you that helps you in your decision making. And so this has been a perfect application for what we're trying to do with the polling series that we're working on. Thank you.
Evan, thank you very much. It's pretty interesting information. I don't see any comments from the board at this time, so we can move on to our next presentation from ECOS.
Next up is Ralph Proper, President of the Environmental Council of Sacramento.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, ECOS, the Environmental Council of Sacramento, has 20 member organizations that feel the need to act in concert on a number of issues. We were founded after the first Earth Day in 1970 by groups such as Breathe California and the Sierra Club to oppose sprawl and get more infill development for the sake of better air quality, preserving habitat, and making everyone's lives easier. That ties in with getting the public transit that we now have and many other things over the years. I retired a couple of years ago from the Air Resources Board, where I was in the research section that does climate science. I was on Channel 10 yesterday talking about the scientific connection between the wildfires that we're getting and climate change. And it's only going to get worse. It's inevitable. We have to do what we can, though, to deal with climate change. And the first thing I wanted to mention, the two main topics I wanted to discuss. One is that, so we don't have any way to show a page here, do we? Oh, how do we do it? Okay. Yeah. Can you make that bigger? Yeah, thanks. Bigger yet?
Planned.
Yeah, this is from the Air Resources Board, and it shows what we need to do to deal with climate change in our state. It shows that for the year 2020, we'll probably be okay in terms of the goals, basically because of what the Air Resources Board is doing with clean cars and so forth. But as you look further down the line toward 2030 and beyond, we have quite a shortfall. And this shows on the right there the three main areas in which improvements need to be made. Certainly, we need more penetration of zero-emission vehicles, and we need more renewable energy. But the last one you see here is that we can't do it with just those alone. We have to reduce vehicle miles traveled. So one point I want to make is that it certainly is great that we have the SB1 funds to improve our roads and our transportation system, but we have to figure out how we can reduce vehicle miles traveled, and that once again means less sprawl, more service by public transit, and building more roads is not the way to go if you want to reduce vehicle miles traveled, as is required by the Air Resources Board. SACOG is having a hard time right now trying to figure out how we can do that, but it's up to the local jurisdictions to enact the land use planning and so forth that is necessary. The other thing I wanted to mention was the fact that the local Sierra Club has gotten a grant from the National Sierra Club to convene in Sacramento a a forum with a large stakeholder group to figure out what we want in terms of transportation improvements here. I think we're going to bring in people from Los Angeles with Sierra Club and others there who led the charge for the successful Measure M that they passed for transportation funds when our Measure B failed a couple of years ago. The LA County Metro recently put out a report about how it's called How to Pass a Mega Transportation Measure, Lessons Learned from Measure M. What that shows is the following. They had a Measure J that failed a few years ago. That was a top-down measure like Measure B was, developed behind closed doors by the politicians such as you guys, not to fault you politicians, but there wasn't any public input, and nor was there for Measure B. It failed. They went back to the drawing board and decided what they should do next time is have a bottoms-up approach where they encourage citizen groups to get together and figure out what they wanted, and that was presented after a long process to the authorities, who then agreed to put that on the ballot. The end result was a measure that gives most of its funds for transit as opposed to roads, and also provides a local return program where local jurisdictions had leeway in deciding if they wanted to shift that distribution. So it involved a lot of public opinion, as we saw here, surveys, focus groups, town hall meetings. So we want to we're going to bring up people here who were involved in that process to see how it should be done here. If you do involve the community, then people feel ownership of it. They sell it to everyone else in their network, and eventually everyone agrees this is what the best we can do. So I hope that the process that Norm has started here to get outreach can be combined with what Sierra Club and other environmental groups and other groups are getting together for in terms of providing input as well as just outreach. We don't need just a better sales job of what you tell us we need, but rather we need to involve the community in helping to develop the next measure. We don't need son of a B, we need A+. I think those are the major points that I have. Let me see if there are other things I want to mention here. One other point that might be worth mentioning is that the focus should be on operations and maintenance for regional transit. There are sources of funding like SB1 for capital investment, but the shortfall tends to be in operations and maintenance, and that's an area that a future tax measure might help a lot with. Once again, new roads will make the VMT shortfall worse, and it's clear, like with our wildfires, that we have a problem with climate change that we need to address, and building more roads as opposed to the other. Obviously, we need to do everything. We can't just focus just on public transit. We need roads too, but the distribution needs to be something that recognizes the climate change urgency that we have. So I look forward to working with you guys more and having a collaborative process that combines the outreach that you're doing here with input from the public that we're otherwise starting this fall. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, Mr. Proper, I just want to say thank you, and duly noted our community outreach for any measure we might propose in the future. I think you will find will be very extensive, and we look forward to the process. So, Director Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just wanted to draw, this is technical, but it's important that we draw the distinction that the listening and the collaboration that's going on right now with the various groups and so forth is actually an effort between the City of Sacramento, the County of Sacramento, and SACOG. It's not an STA effort. STA is about to embark on an educational effort. That sounds like a minor distinction, but it's an important legal distinction, so I wanted to make that point.
All right, thank you.
Very good. Mr. Proper, thanks so much.
Okay.
Appreciate your efforts
Look
at
forward to
ECOS.
providing more input in the future. Thank you very much.
All right. And
Follow
next up,
Finally, the last presenter today is someone many of you may know, longtime STA Governing Board member Roger Dickinson, who served on your board from 1994 to 2010. Today, Mr. Dickinson is the Executive Director of Transportation California.
A man who needs no introduction. Welcome, Roger.
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you. You never know. Thanks for the opportunity to come and spend a little time with you this afternoon. Having been through this kind of exercise a few times over the years, I know it's challenging, it's complex, and it's difficult. As Norm mentioned, I'm here today wearing the hat of Executive Director of Transportation California. For those of you who may not be familiar with us, we are a statewide coalition of associations, organizations, and companies that come together, management and labor, primarily to advocate more state funding for transportation of various transportation policy issues at the state level. So as you can imagine, we are deep in the mix on the most pressing issue before the state's voters this November with respect to Transportation Proposition 6. I'm not sure that this afternoon I will impart to you, tell you anything that you don't already know. My comments come with that caveat at the outset. And what I thought I'd do is talk a little bit about the framework within which I hope you will consider whatever measure you might next construct to put before the voters of Sacramento County. But in that overall picture, I think it's important both to realize and frankly to communicate to the voters and the residents of Sacramento County that the federal government is not a place to look to for help on this issue. There really is no great prospect of meaningful legislation coming out of the Congress anytime soon with respect to transportation. So as it is with many issues, the responsibility and the obligation continues to devolve to the state and local level. The one footnote I would put to that is if control, I think, of the House of Representatives changes after November, you may have a brighter prospect for some legislation addressing the condition of the Federal Highway Trust Fund coming out of the next Congress, because the nature of the debate will change, and it's really been the House which has been most resistant to any kind of legislative initiative to find a way to raise additional funds to start to bring the Highway Trust Fund back into balance. But it's not something that I would count on as I was thinking about how to fund transportation improvements in Sacramento County anytime in the near future. The second thing I think to realize is that no matter what the outcome of the election is on Proposition 6 in November, even assuming that Prop 6 loses, what the state provides through SB 1 and any other sources is not going to be nearly enough to address the transportation needs and challenges in Sacramento County, or frankly in any locality across the state of California. We have something on the order of over $130 billion in deferred maintenance and backlog across this state. Sacramento County and all the jurisdictions within it, you all know, you live it, have your own list of those places that need attention that aren't getting it today because there simply isn't money to go that far. Well, if Proposition 6 loses, there will certainly be significant help from the state. Once again, it won't be enough. And so I think that leads you to consider what are the crucial elements that you need to keep in mind as you put together another local measure. And you know, regardless of what the criticisms may have been of of Measure B, that the voters came very close, exceedingly close, painfully close to approving it. And so this is not a circumstance in which I think you are trying to raise a phoenix out of the ashes. This is more, what do you need to do in order to get over that magic line, as opposed to completely recalibrate what's been done in the past. And I take the comments about public participation and involvement to heart as part of what is the process you'll go through. But my comment is only to say that you're not starting from ground zero, and I think that's not unimportant. So what is it that matters to people? Exceedingly, as I talk to people, not just here in Sacramento, but across the state, it is an issue which you hear across the spectrum with respect to government, and that's trust. It simply put is trust. And that's why establishing and building trust with the public for anything, any subject that's going to appear in front of them as a matter to vote on, becomes foundational, absolutely critical. So the question is, how do you build trust? And I think that you build trust in a number of different ways. First of all, especially with the existing Measure A program, you build trust through communication. You constantly tell people what you are doing with their money. That's important. You can't assume that people know that their money is being spent in a certain way. It's not to say that you boast about it or that you have a point of view. It's educational, and I mean that in the sincerest form of that term. It's about transparency. It's about making sure that people have an easy opportunity to see how their money is being spent, that they can track it, that they know what you're doing as a city council, as a board of supervisors, as an authority, that they can find out the information about what's happening with their money clearly and easily. It's about being accountable. It's about being accountable. It's about talking about the things that may not have gone as you had hoped or intended initially, as well as talking about the things that have. And that's that measure, the fourth characteristic that I would suggest to you is honesty. When we went through the recession and we went from $100 million a year in sales tax revenue through the Measure A program to a little more than 50, I guess it was 60 million a year at the bottom of the recession, it was critical to tell people that the things that were on the project list under Measure A weren't going to get done as quickly or maybe at all. I don't know that we did that well enough to be truthful, but the point is that it is essential to be straightforward with people. I think that people forgive and are very understanding when things don't always work out the way that one says they hope they will. That life does have changing circumstances. But unlike some places which have had real problems with trying to hide what has been the consequence of those changing circumstances, I think it's important to be straightforward, because that builds that essential characteristic of trust. I would suggest that you think about addressing the transportation needs of Sacramento County very much in the context of changing lifestyles. Some of that was reflected, I just saw a little bit of the polling presentation, but think about it in the context of changing lifestyles in our county. That means that people are interested in getting places on their own more walking, or by something other than getting in a car every time. They're looking at, especially for younger age groups, more and more that first mile, last mile component of a trip. And certainly regional transit has been trying to take that issue on, I think, in a very straightforward way. Think about the element of ride sharing, which is becoming more and more a commonplace part of our transportation landscape. And not only what does it mean about the number of trips taken and how they're taken, what does it mean in terms of curb management, as an example? What does it mean in terms of parking capacity? What does it mean in terms of congestion? There are a lot of different ways in which that has implications. And think about the aging population. Not just from the standpoint that maybe they want to get in a car, but maybe they don't. Maybe they are changing their living pattern in order to change their transportation habits. Not so much from an economic point of view, but from a lifestyle preferential point of view. Think about the environmental concerns that the public has. We consistently see polling across the state. I don't have any reason to believe that it's substantially different in Sacramento County, that people elevate and are willing actually to pay more for their needs being met with respect to environmental concerns and quality of life. That's, I think, an important part of your equation. Think about two other things at the same time. Mobility, which means moving people and goods in an optimal and efficient way, and connectivity. And that's what's missing in many respects for so many people as they try to, I think, move around and through Sacramento County. I think, consistent with the polling that you saw, recognize that for many people, fixing the existing system first is their highest priority. It is the priority of SB1. It's a fix-it-first approach with about 2/3 of the money going to repair the existing system. I don't think there's any reason to believe that the emphasis is different on this county's level. And recognize that many people are looking for mobility options. They want choices about how to get around. They may say overwhelming that relieving congestion is a high priority, but that, I think, is a conclusion driven from the fact that they don't feel they have choices, meaningful choices. And so I would suggest you think about what approach can you take that's going to give people real mobility options. Target new infrastructure projects extremely carefully so they don't just become the congested facilities of the future. It's unrealistic in my mind to say that there are no new facilities that are necessary in this county, especially as it grows, as it will. And so it's thinking about what kinds of facilities really will promote those other values of mobility, of connectivity, of efficiency, that don't just become the things that the next STA comes back in 10 or 15 years and says, gee, now we're living with congestion that was created by some road expansion that we had that didn't really help us solve the problems of increasing and improving mobility and connectivity. In the final analysis, increased investment in transportation, in my view, is essential both to our community growth and health. So I don't believe, and I don't think you do either, that you can simply exist on what we have today. That will not meet the needs of Sacramento County, its jurisdictions, and its people in the years to come. But the bottom line is that, as I said at the outset, more and more responsibility will fall on local jurisdictions to fund transportation, but the public support for those efforts will depend on a plan that is built on the elements that people care most about.
Roger, thanks
very much.
We appreciate you taking the time and sharing your views on the subject. I don't see any comments from the board. We do have one public comment.
Good luck.
Thanks so much, Roger.
My comment is simple. You're going about transportation right now the wrong way. You should be going to where the drivers are to get the message delivered. You also should consider, I wasn't here when you did the blueprint. But that's the bottom down effort that you need to strive for, is a blueprint type of getting this pushed up. You're not trying to do that in any of your efforts. You need to talk to, like where there are events that the drivers are going to show them that there's another way. You guys sponsor events at libraries and at parks, and yet you can't go public transportation, get home from any of those events. You need to figure out, it's the best thing that Walker's had to say so far is for your light rail. Gee, why weren't you using it until at least midnight? That was the smartest thing I have heard. I would love to find out, and I'm going to ask Don Natoli about what the other tools that in June you guys came through developing for route optimization plans. But again, that's what I will say to you is go where the drivers are, go where those people that have said they have no idea about public transportation. That's where your outreach should be at, because the transportation people here, we know what's needed and wanted. It's the rest of them that need to get on board and know, why do we make this investment? Why and how this will remove the congestion, what it will do for our future. And you know, as me, I say, I don't want this place to become another Los Angeles. I lived there, and I was there in the 60s and know how bad air quality can become. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I don't see any comments from directors. Do you have any final comments for future issues, items? Norm, you're good? All right, we will adjourn at 2:52.